Welcome. It's another day of Bhagavad Gita Sadhana. You only probably have to hear me say that another hundred and so times over the course of this year-long practice that is designed to help you. We say to people, be yourself, but so many of us don't know who we are. It's buried under layers. And so, how can we be ourselves if we don't know ourselves? So today we will be talking a little bit more about memory because that was one of the foci of yesterday's video. Thanks to those questions again for all of you out there who are writing in. And also, thank you. I'm dedicating this practice today to 3 people. And the first one is Luke, who said he found my channel and watched my videos and is getting a lot of help from them. So thank you for letting me know. It's wonderful to hear from you. To another friend who is retiring, Paul, I remember all the good times we spent together. And I congratulate you on your next step. And then last night to my unknown neighbor who was in a lot of distress. And you might think I mean a 2-foot neighbor, but there were some other, what we would call animal neighbors out last night. And things weren't going well. It was very ruckus, wild in the city. I think that one of them was transitioning to leaving the body. And as we talk about Bhagavad Gita right now, we're getting into the chapter 8, which is about leaving the physical body, which almost all of us will have to do at some point. It just takes a varying length of time. And ironically, this chapter is called the Yoga of the Imperishable Supreme. So the idea is talk about death. It doesn't have to be in the final physical terms, but death of everything we think we are so that we can get to the true self. This is a big part of the Bhagavad Gita. Is Arjun, for much of his life, has been fortunate enough to know who he is and what he's supposed to do on this earth. But stress comes up and he forgets. And then he looks at what other people are saying about him, and that helps him forget. And he looks at just getting older and what was he supposed to do with his life, and that makes him forget. The injuries he's had makes him forget the vitality of youth and the innocence of youth. That's one of the big stories in the Mahabharata. Arjun really, literally loses a lot of his naivete and innocence, which you might think somebody of Arjun's age. Interestingly, he was about 55, supposedly. If you do all the math, he should be about 50 some during the time of this war. Yet there's still some naivete. I have it. We can see that in some older people with lots of wisdom still get scammed, yes? So who are you? A lot of who you are is buried under memory, yet memory can be the key to getting back to yourself. And I don't mean little superficial memories that are shaped by the world. Let's talk about this a little bit more. If you see behind me, look at that beautiful oak tree. And then we have some beautiful blue spruce trees. This row of blue spruce, for example, they grew up from pine cones, and probably, I'd venture to say, they're related to each other, that the pine cones fell from one particular tree. But they turn out differently. They turn out differently because of their relationship to the sun, to the houses, to the wind, to each other. So there's an essence, definitely an essence of blue spruce, yet it expresses itself very differently. And as time goes on, actually, its expression makes it more recognizable for what it is. For example, if I put you next to a bunch of little tree seedlings, you probably go, I have no idea what this seedling is or this seedling. But as they grow, you can definitely start to tell. So you can tell a blue spruce pretty easily from an oak, from a maple, etc. So what we're seeing here is the manifestation of destiny as affected by the external world. If these seedlings hadn't gotten any love and nurturing, not necessarily as we think of it, but from the earth and the sky, then they wouldn't even be here, right? The true memory, if we want to get back to a true memory, here is memory. This is, we think, oh, our phones have so much memory, our computers. This is Mother Nature's amazing memory. This is hundreds of thousands of millions of years of plants passing along their secrets so that they can grow up to be a lovely oak tree and make more seeds. This is an oak tree. It's amazing. And often when we talk about karma, we refer to seeds and then those seeds bearing fruit. That perpetuates the cycle. So what we need to do, ideally, through the Gita, and what Krishna is trying to help Arjuna do, is remember who he really, really is. You need to get back. Who is the seed of myself? And you know something? Nature is going to help remind you, because that seed is going to grow. It's very hard if you're an oak tree to turn into a blue spruce. And many of us see famous blue spruces, for example, on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram and go, why can't I be a blue spruce? Instead of rejoicing and going, I am in an oak. So it's good to have memory to survive in wherever you ended up, whatever garden, yard, forest. But if you really want to know who you are and what your destiny is, it can be good to reflect back on this seed. And if you're wondering, well, how do I do that? You can see the own seeds that you're producing in your life. My mother used to say, when you have children, they're going to act the same way you're acting toward me now, which, being a little smartass, I think my external reply at least once was, oh, I must be just like you, Mom. This must be just how you treated your mom. Anyway, getting back to the seed. Let's do our contemplation. And ironically, we start with the physical pose, tree pose. Maybe you can feel your roots, your connection to earth, and the seeds that you are creating for the future. Switch. Ooh, I'm all washed out. So as we do our contemplation, I do invite you to try to think of, what is my seed, my internal kernel? I mean, it can feel like, oh my gosh, I've faded to be the same way as my parents, but not necessarily. This oak tree, I'm guessing, looked a lot different than the oak tree that produced it. We can take this seed and shape it through our lives. That's actually one of the ideas of yoga, is to, instead of just instinctually or thoughtlessly growing, to grow the way we want to, toward the sun. Straight limbs, healthy trunk and roots. I invite you to consider who you are, the seed at the core of your physical expression. 5 minutes. Do it in 5 minutes. No, I'm kidding. You can start. Welcome back. Welcome back. So the richness of the soil may determine how strong the seed is. The amount of sunlight it can receive might determine its height. The effects of wind and weather may determine the twist or straightness of its branches. But it's just beautiful, this potential, and that's what you have in you. I hope you can reconnect with it often. And I hope we can reconnect very soon. Until next time.